Good morning, Digit fam. Adam Dowd here, awake on time and ready to serve you up the latest daily tech hotness. Tomorrow, I'll be headed downtown to test out Sprint's new 5G network in Sweet Home Chicago, and I have simultaneously higher and lower expectations for the network. But overall, I suspect it'll be a net gain over Verizon's implementation. Stay tuned for that, but for now, it is July 10th, 2019, and this is your Digit Daily. Another day, another streaming service, proving that you're gonna get what you want. Now we're gonna find out if you want what you get. And that's still very, very true. Today's new streaming service comes from HBO. But doesn't HBO already have a streaming service? Why, yes it does, Gene. 2 of them. HBO already has HBO Go and HBO Now, and today it's announcing HBO Max. AT&T and Warner Media offer HBO Max, combining their catalogs into a powerhouse of entertainment that I'm not even a little bit interested in. Now, I don't blame Tristan for this. I blame the press release. According to the press release, the flagship product for this new offering is going to be Friends. Now, you might not be familiar with Friends, and that's okay. It was a popular show that aired back in the 90s and early 2000s, which means if you're our key demographic, you were about 7 years old when it went off the air. And I have to be careful not to harp too much on this, but really, Friends? That's the best you could do to headline your new service? I mean, you are so burying the lead here. I had to dig into the press release to find out more information on this service to even find something tempting. For instance, nowhere in the press release is there any mention of HBO's current hit Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, recent hit Game of Thrones, or even classic hit, but not as old as Friends hit, The Sopranos. I had to watch the embedded video to even see suggestions that those would be there. Also included in the service are all of DC's movies, including all 7 Batmans and the rest of the Justice League. Okay, well maybe we shouldn't pimp those movies. Why did you say Martha? But when you look at the list of names that will be involved in projects on HBO Max, it's fairly impressive. The ones that jumped off the page for me include Anna Kendrick, Kaylee Cuoco, Paul Feig, Jason Bateman, Jordan Peele, Robert Downey Jr., and Mark Ruffalo. So, I mean, there's stuff to sell here, and Friends isn't the Yahtzee here. But whatever, HBO, you do you. As long as you keep putting Last Week Tonight on YouTube, I'm good. Now, also, there's no word on cost. As Tristan points out, HBO Now costs $15 a month. HBO and Amazon also cost $15 a month. So HBO Max, will it break the $20 barrier? I mean, I can't imagine it will. The only way I see this shaking out positively for AT&T and Time Warner is basically to let HBO Max replace HBO Now at the same price of $15 a month. I mean, I still won't get it, but that's the only way I can see people coming to this service. Pricing it above that would set a dangerous precedent for the numerous other streaming services coming in the future, and that's a future I want no part of. With Disney Plus coming in November at $7 a month, I won't go so far as to say HBO Max at $20 will be DOA, but it definitely will be on life support. But maybe that'll be a positive because it'll give other streaming services notice. $20 ain't gonna cut it. We'll just have to wait and see, but for now, let's head into the roundup! Speaking of AT&T, the telco provider conducted a survey of 1,000 people asking about the most annoying things people do on their phones on airplane flights. Top result, unsurprisingly, listening to movies or music without headphones. And seriously, just who does that? 52% of respondents said there should be consequences, and seriously, only 52%? Is that only because the other 48% are using headphones? I have an idea for a consequence, and it involves a hammer. Dr. Mario World is out now, and it's a free-to-play refresh of the original game that came out in the 90s. You know, back when Friends was still a thing. Basically, Dr. Mario is a Tetris-style game where you use color-coded pills to eliminate viruses on a game board. It sounds like fun, and I'll be trying it out shortly after this episode hits the airwaves. This next one is a twofer. Apple updated its MacBook line by killing off the 12-inch MacBook Pro and discontinuing all MacBook Pros from 2018 and earlier. RIP Butterfly Keyboard. Now, you've got a choice between the MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro. Both base models start at 13-inch screens, and there's a mere $200 difference between them. All MacBook Pros come with a touch bar, gross, but there's no MacBook Air option with a quad-core processor. Also gross. The Verge went into this hoping that a simplified lineup would also come with simplified decision-making, but it turns out that isn't really the case. With only a $200 difference between the models, you now have to decide if you want thinner and lighter, or slightly more powerful with a useless touch bar. Personally, I'm going to keep riding this 2015 MacBook Pro pony until it breaks. Uber Comfort is a new service from Uber that allows you, for a higher price, to specify the temperature of the vehicle and the chattiness of the driver. But what Uber doesn't realize is that it already offered that option. It's called a tip, as in, shut up dude or you won't get one. Personally, I like chatting with my Uber driver. You can get a lot of insight into the area where you're staying and what to do that the tourist sites won't tell you about. Or you can just put on headphones. Any of those are great options. Close to 10% of Tesla's autopilot team has left the company over the last few months. Elon Musk has been bragging a lot about Tesla's autopilot, which is definitely not autopilot feature, for close to a year now, boasting that the cars already have all the hardware needed and that Teslas will be capable of full, unsupervised autonomous driving within 18 months or so. Yep, I'd leave my job too if my boss kept promising the press that I'd crap rainbows in 18 months. Elon, seriously, stop it. Scientists are developing ways to 3D print skin and bones in space for upcoming Mars missions. It turns out the body doesn't heal in space as well as it does on Earth, so something like a burn or a broken bone becomes a much more serious problem when the nearest hospital is 30 million miles away. But the part that doesn't sit right with me, bones? I mean, sure, you can print a bone, but how are you going to get it in there? Which is why, ultimately, I love space, but I would never actually go there. And finally, you know how some folks have a special bottle of wine or champagne or brandy or something that they're saving for a special occasion? Well, so does NASA, only it's not wine it'll be popping the cork on, it's lunar samples. NASA still has 6 lunar rock samples brought back by the original Apollo missions, and it's cracking one open, kinda sorta, in honor of the 50th anniversary of the Apollo moon landing. These samples have never touched human hands or Earth air. They were sealed on the moon by astronauts, and that's pretty cool. And that is going to do it for today's Digit Daily. If you'd like to learn more about any of these stories, check out the links in the show notes and subscribe to our daily newsletter on Digit.com. And if you like what you heard, subscribe, leave a review, and don't forget to tell your friends about DigitDailyPod.com. Once again, I'm Adam Dowd, Dead Technology on Twitter, and we'll talk again tomorrow.